Hey there! Today I'm going to tell y'all about a heart-stopping rescue mission that shook the world. An 18-month-old girl, playing with other kids in her backyard, suddenly fell into an abandoned well. When the adults at home noticed and tried to save her, they realized the well was just 20 centimeters wide, too narrow for an adult to fit. It was dark, damp, and at risk of low oxygen. The folks above ground had no clue exactly where the little girl was stuck underground. Soon after, a massive rescue operation kicked off. The story takes place in Texas, the second largest state in the U.S. by both land and population. In West Texas, there's a city called Midland, a major transportation hub for the state, with an economy mostly driven by oil drilling. Our main character is baby Jessica McClure, just 18 months old, born on March 26, 1986. Her mom, Reba McClure, 17, was a homemaker. Her dad, Louis McClure, 18, worked in home repairs. Jessica had an aunt who, for some reason, the family was staying with in Midland. This aunt ran a daycare, her main gig being childcare. Since they were short-staffed, Jessica's mom occasionally helped out at the daycare, so Jessica often played there with other kids. The first 18 months of her life were pretty normal, just like any other kid, and the world wouldn't have known her if not for that fateful incident. On a regular day, no one could have predicted a crisis would unfold right in the daycare's backyard, grabbing the attention of folks across America. Let's rewind to October 14, 1987, to dive into the details. October 14, 1987. It was a Wednesday. That morning, 4 kids had been dropped off at Jessica's aunt's daycare. Her aunt was a pro at childcare, well known in the community, a go-to for parents who were busy. It should have been a normal day, but the aunt had to step out, so she asked Jessica's mom to watch the kids. Reba, a young mom with little experience, took Jessica and the 4 other kids to the daycare's backyard to play. There were toys scattered around, and the yard was fenced off, too tall for outsiders to get in, so it seemed safe. Reba, on her own, played with the kids on the swings and seesaws, and they were having a blast. Then, the house phone rang. Hearing it, Reba left the kids in the yard and went inside to answer. A few minutes later, she heard a loud cry from the yard. She rushed out to check and saw the 4 kids still playing normally, but something felt off. Her daughter Jessica was suddenly nowhere to be found. She wondered where her little girl could have gone. The yard was fenced, and no outsider could get in. As Reba panicked, she noticed a few kids staring at the ground. She walked over and saw a well, about 20 centimeters wide, a shallow, abandoned one. It had been covered by a heavy rock to prevent accidents, but somehow that rock had been moved. Reba instantly realized Jessica had fallen in. Terrified, she ran inside and called the police. 3 minutes later, sirens echoed through the neighborhood and cops arrived on the scene. After getting a quick rundown, they tried checking the well, but the opening was too small for them to enter. So they called out to Jessica, but her voice was too faint to hear. Then they lowered a microphone carefully down the well. Finally, they heard Jessica's faint sobs. She was terrified. After confirming she was down there, the police knew they couldn't rescue her alone, so they immediately called in a professional rescue team. With the team's arrival, the official rescue mission began. The first step was pinpointing Jessica's exact location in the well. Her mom said it was deep, an old water well, now abandoned. "I don't know how deep it is, maybe dozens of meters," she said. Using the microphone, they gauged the depth by the length of the cord and Jessica's sounds, determining she was stuck about 6.7 meters down, her body wedged in a pipe below, with space that might let her fall further. News of a girl trapped in a well spread fast across the area. Some curious locals, eager to help, started showing up at the rescue site to watch. After studying the situation, the rescue team came up with a plan. Dig a parallel shaft next to the well where Jessica was trapped. Once they reached her depth, they'd tunnel horizontally to reach her and pull her out. With a workable plan in place, the team quickly brought in a large drilling rig, the kind used to bore into underground cable shafts. But drilling would cause vibrations, and since Jessica was stuck in the pipe for unknown reasons, somehow not falling to the bottom, the rescue shaft couldn't be too close to her. Vibrations might make her fall deeper, yet it couldn't be too far either, or the horizontal tunnel would take too long to dig. After careful calculations, they decided to place the rescue shaft 1.5 meters from Jessica's well, and drilling began. But the rescue wasn't as smooth as hoped. Just 2 meters down, the drill hit hard rock, slowing progress big time. During this, to keep Jessica safe, the team occasionally paused the drill to talk to her. The machine's noise drowned out her voice. After over 10 hours, they successfully drilled a rescue shaft 76 centimeters wide and 8.8 meters deep. Now, they needed to dig a horizontal tunnel to reach Jessica's well. Reports showed she was stuck 6.7 meters down. If the horizontal tunnel was level with her, machinery might hurt her. To play it safe, they decided to dig the tunnel below her position. The team, equipped with headlamps and tools, rappelled down the rescue shaft, and the horizontal dig officially started. The space was tight, so they could only use small drills. The rock was tough, slowing the drill's efficiency, and oxygen was scarce down there, forcing the team to swap out frequently, which ate up more time. All these factors slowed the rescue down. By now, Jessica had been stuck for 14 hours, and it was late at night. The team underground kept grinding with handheld drills to open the tunnel. Progress was slow, but there wasn't a better option. Darkness made things even tougher. The rescuers not only had to dig fast, but also keep tabs on Jessica's condition. The ground team lowered a thermometer to her spot, finding the night's chill was dropping the temperature around her fast. To help her hold on, someone suggested sending down food, but a doctor on site shut that down. He explained they didn't know if Jessica had internal injuries, so eating now could cause more harm. Plus, dehydration could hit within 48 hours of eating. If she wasn't rescued in time, it'd be worse. Following the doctor's advice, the team focused on warming the ground to keep her from getting too cold. Digging the horizontal tunnel was a long haul. They had to bore through 1.5 meters of hard rock. At their current handheld drill speed, they could only manage 2 centimeters per hour. At that rate, it'd take about 3 days to break through, a huge challenge for Jessica. Plus, after over 10 hours of nonstop work, the rescuers started feeling the physical strain, slowing the whole operation down. When word got out, media outlets showed up. The team seized the chance to call for community help through the press, hoping experienced hard rock drillers would step in. The next morning, October 15th, 1987, several skilled drillers volunteered to join the effort. Some onlookers pitched ideas too. One said, "My son's naturally skinny but strong. He could try climbing into the well to pull her up." The plan was too risky, and the team passed. If something went wrong, the boy could get trapped too. Another in the crowd suggested dropping super sticky glue down the well to pull Jessica up. With many far-fetched ideas and no solid new plan, the team pressed on. Baby Jessica, just 18 months old, had been stuck for a long time but wasn't scared. She even hummed her favorite nursery rhyme, Winnie the Pooh, singing it over and over. It reassured everyone outside that she was okay, a rare, touching moment broadcast live on TV. Jessica quickly became a social media sensation. Back then, more like a TV phenomenon. It also let the rescuers in the tunnel know she was still alive and doing okay. As more media covered the story, it spread from Midland across Texas and went national. Some networks even sent trucks to the site, broadcasting live 24/7. Jessica's plight touched hearts across the country. She became everyone's little treasure. People saw her as their own, praying for her safe rescue, affectionately calling her Baby Jessica. After 28 hours underground, the rescue site was packed with people waiting for updates while the team kept pushing to open the tunnel. Jessica's dad was interviewed that day saying, "We'll be here till she's out. We'll never give up." Her mom, filled with guilt, said, "If only I hadn't answered that phone and watched her closer." For them, every second was precious. They didn't know if their little girl could hold on, only praying she'd make it. By October 16th, 1987, day 3 of her ordeal, the site was buzzing at dawn. Rescuers, medics, drilling experts, and contractors were all in, racing against time. A businessman, after seeing the news, rushed to the scene with an idea. "I've got a new water jet cutting machine, super sharp, can slice through hard rock fast, way better than handheld drills." The team thought it was worth a shot, but the machine was in Houston, 768 kilometers from Midland. The businessman had already called his staff to fly it over. While waiting, the team didn't quit. They kept digging with handheld drills, pausing to talk to Jessica. But the latest update was grim. It had been 5 hours since her last response. She wasn't reacting anymore. Spirits sank for everyone there and viewers watching live. The on-site doctor said Jessica had been down there over 40 hours. She might be in a temporary coma from dehydration, and things weren't looking good. If she wasn't rescued soon, her life was at risk. Just then, at the brink, good news came from underground. After 2 days of non-stop work, the team finally broke through the tunnel. Right then, the water jet cutter arrived with 3 operators. Since the tunnel was open, they held off using the machine to avoid vibrations, making Jessica fall further. To brace her, they placed a steel rod beneath her. During this, they heard her faint cries again. Word spread, and everyone cheered. Baby Jessica was still alive. But the next hurdle came fast. The tunnel was too narrow, barely fitting one person. Now they had to pick the right person to get her out. A roofer named R.S. volunteered to go down. Born without collarbones, he could collapse his shoulders, making him a strong candidate for the tight space. Though his build was perfect, the team declined. He lacked real rescue experience. Instead, they chose Robert Odell. 45 hours after Jessica got trapped, rescuer Robert tied a mountaineering rope from the rescue shaft's mouth and lowered himself to the tunnel's base. He crawled forward, calling her name. Soon, he heard her cries clearly, but the tunnel was tight, especially where it met Jessica's spot. Robert could barely stretch one arm out, carefully feeling for her. Now they finally understood her position. When Jessica fell, one leg bent back, the other pointed toward the well's mouth. She'd held that painful position for 2 days. Luckily, a ridge in the pipe kept her from falling deeper. Robert comforted her while gently pulling her bent leg. He realized he couldn't reach the leg pointing up. Using force might hurt her. With her leg bent backward over her head, no food or water for so long, everyone watching felt heartbroken yet amazed by her strength. To be safe, Robert paused the rescue, returned to the surface, and updated the team. They decided to widen the tunnel for more space. The water jet cutter, now on site, proved razor-sharp, slicing through rock easily. But it was a double-edged sword. It could hurt Jessica. Using handheld drills was safer, but would take much longer. After weighing options, with Jessica nearing 3 days without food or water, the doctor warned her condition was critical. No more delays. She'd been trapped 56 hours. The team opted to use the water jet to widen the tunnel, and it worked smoothly, thankfully without injuring her. Before Robert went back down, the doctor stressed, "Hold her arms or legs. Don't let her head get hurt." Robert, joined by another rescuer, Steve Forbes, began the final rescue. They descended the shaft, and though the tunnel was slightly wider, Robert could still only extend one arm, barely reaching Jessica's upward leg. He needed to straighten both legs to pull her out. Robert applied paraffin to the well walls to lubricate and soften the grip, since her leg had been stuck so long. Movement caused her pain, and she cried out. Hearing her cries, Robert softly comforted her, gradually aligning her legs. Then, Jessica was pulled into the tunnel and up the shaft. Robert secured her on a wooden board and handed her to Forbes. At 7:55 p.m. on October 16, 1987, after 58 hours trapped, Robert and Forbes brought Jessica safely back to the surface from the rescue shaft. The nail-biting rescue of the 18-month-old back from the brink left onlookers in tears. Millions watching on TV hugged their loved ones, celebrating like it was their own victory. Forbes held Jessica, her legs and right arm bandaged, covered in dirt, eyes barely open. The on-site doctor took her from Forbes, placing her in a waiting ambulance that rushed her to Midland Memorial Hospital. Tests showed she was 15% dehydrated, but had no fractures or wounds needing stitches. However, doctors worried they'd need to amputate her foot. It had supported her body so long, risking gangrene from poor circulation. They tried hyperbaric therapy to avoid full amputation, ultimately removing just one toe on her right foot and reconstructing it. After a month of treatment, Jessica mostly recovered. Her parents held her hands as she took her first steps out of the hospital. The baby Jessica rescue was a resounding success, becoming one of history's most famous underground rescues. A powerful photo of a rescuer holding a dirt-covered Jessica won the prestigious Pulitzer Prize for African-American photographer Scott Shaw. After her miraculous rescue, Jessica was dubbed everyone's child, as millions worldwide followed every second of the operation. People sent flowers, toys, and money, donations reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars, set up in a trust fund she'd access at 25. 2 years later, in 1989, Jessica and her family were honored with an invitation to the White House to meet then-President Ronald Reagan. Jessica, wearing glasses and a red dress, looked adorable. Reagan hugged her, praising her as a strong, brave girl. Her story of surviving against the odds grabbed global media attention, becoming the subject of TV debates and documentaries for years. ABC even made a 1989 TV movie about her, starring Beau Bridges and Pat Hingle, with real rescuers as minor characters. October 14, 1987, remains unforgettable for many Americans, a day that changed Jessica's life forever. The well she fell into was sealed with a solid iron cap, inscribed with, "For Jessica, October 16, 1987, with love from all of us. Over the years, she underwent 15 surgeries. Besides her foot condition and a long forehead scar, Jessica's health returned to normal, and she recovered quickly. But her miracle came with tragedies. A few years after the accident, her parents divorced in 1990. The sudden fame was like an avalanche, overwhelming the young couple, just 18, and their split made headlines. Both later remarried. 8 years after the rescue, Robert Odell, the rescuer who brought Jessica to safety, took his own life in 1995. Hailed as a hero, he couldn't return to normal life. His brother said, after rescuing Jessica, his life slowly fell apart. Days before his death, Robert and his mom watched a rescue of bomb victims in Oklahoma, and he remarked, "When the mission's done, rescuers need help, not for days or weeks, but years." Experts diagnosed Robert with PTSD from the rescue. Despite surgeries, her parents' divorce, and her rescuer's tragic end, Jessica grew up sheltered and peaceful. At 17, she learned of her past by chance, asking her stepmom, "Who's the baby stuck in the well in the Rescue 911 documentary?" In May 2004, she graduated from Greenwood High School in a small community near Midland. On January 28, 2006, at 20, she married Daniel Morales at a Church of Christ in Lubbock, Texas, 60 kilometers from Midland. They met at a daycare where she worked with his cousin's sister. They have 2 kids, a boy born in 2007 and a girl in 2009. At 25, on March 26, 2011, Jessica received her trust fund from global donations. But the 2008 recession hit hard, nearly wiping it out. She used what was left to buy a small house for her family in Midland. The scar on her forehead from the well remains, but she says, "I'm still proud and confident with those scars. My life's a miracle." 31 years after that terrifying event, Jessica still lives in Midland, now divorced, working as a special education aide at an elementary school for disabled kids. She uses her story to teach children about humility, reminding them every life is precious, not a given, and worth fighting for. Jessica says, "I don't want my story to affect my kids' lives, but I'll use what happened, my experiences, to teach them kindness and humility, and to show them if we look closely, there are so many good people in this world." That's all for today's video. See y'all in the next one. Bye.